What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video on the Fearless Nick YouTube channel, and in today's video I'll be going through my AFL 2023 round 23 tips and predictions, and obviously as well as that, like we always do, I'm going to be going back over my round 22 tips from last week and seeing how I went. If you guys go on to enjoy today's video, make sure to leave a like, share and subscribe. They're very much appreciated. I'm on the road to 500 subs, and I think I'm almost at 450 subs now, so yeah, a like and sub would be very much appreciated, as yeah, I'm trying to get 500 subs really as soon as possible. But anyways, guys, we don't have further ado, let's get straight on reviewing my round 22 tips from last week. Rightio, so like we always do, ladies and gentlemen, before we get into this week's tips, we are going to take a quick look back on my round 22 tips from last week. I got a score of 8 out of 9 for round number 22. A very, very good score, if I do say so myself. Much better than my previous results. I think have been about 5. I think I had a 2 a couple of weeks ago when there was that big round of upsets. But anyways, we will quickly go back over the round 22 games from last week. It started off on the Friday night. It was between Collingwood and Geelong. And I did tip Collingwood to get the job done here over the Cats. I was thinking about tipping Geelong in this game just because of Collingwood's injuries. Obviously, we all know Nick Dacos being out for a period of time, how that was going to affect Collingwood. But, you know, I had enough trust and enough faith in Collingwood that they would get the job done here in this game. But yeah, I did tip Collingwood here to get up over the Cats on the Friday night, so got that tip correct. Moving down now to Marvel Stadium, I tipped Essendon to beat North Melbourne, and yeah, no problems there. Essendon, well, they did look a little bit shaky at times. They did let North Melbourne in the game at times. They did what they needed to do. The Bombers, North, they were pretty gallant, but ultimately Essendon were just the better side. Moving down now to the SCG, I tipped Sydney to beat Gold Coast. This one I also wasn't quite sure on. I thought Gold Coast, you know, just considering their history against the Swans, especially at the SCG, I thought there was a chance of an upset happening, but obviously, we all know now, Sydney, they were far too good for Gold Coast. Moving down now to the Gabba, I tipped the Lions to beat the Crows. And I tell you what, Adelaide, pretty impressive. Like, they were actually they were pretty decent in this game, to be honest, the Crows. Yeah, they were pretty unlucky in this match, but I did tip Brisbane to get up here over the Crows at the Gabba, so got that tip correct. Moving down now to the MCG, and I tipped Melbourne over Carlton. So this was the one tip I did get incorrect this week. I think a few people in my comments last week were saying, oh, you're going to regret, you know, tipping against Carlton. I think Louis or someone might have said that. But geez, whoever commented that, I think it was Louis, he was spot on because, yeah, it did come back to bite me because if I had tipped Carlton, I would have got a 9 out of 9. Moving down now to Optus Stadium for the final game on the Saturday. And it was obviously the massive derby here between West Coast and Freo. And once again, West Coast just getting their pants pulled down. Same old story. You know, the opposition just running rings around the Eagles. And wow, the Dockers, they've actually started to find some really good form as of late. But yeah, I did tip the Dockers here to get up over the Eagles at Optus Stadium. So got that tip correct there. Moving down now to Utah Stadium for the first game on the Sunday. And it was between Hawthorn and the Bulldogs. And this tip, I'm actually going to give myself a pat on the back here because I don't think a lot of people were tipping Hawthorn here to win this game. I think a lot of people were probably just expecting the Bulldogs to, you know, get an easy win here. But I just thought, surely after they beat Collingwood the week prior, the Hawks, surely they'd be able to carry this form into this week and beat the Bulldogs. And that's exactly what happened, to be honest. Moving down now to the second last game of the round. It was obviously the big Maddies match between St Kilda and Richmond. I did tip St Kilda here to get up here over the Tigers. Yeah, I was sort of going with my brain this time rather than my heart. My heart, obviously, you know, being a Richmond fan, was saying Richmond hopefully would get a result here. But from what I saw, we didn't really look a chance, to be honest, earlier on in the game. I think we let St Kilda walk all over us in that first quarter, and that really cost us for the rest of the match, to be honest. And moving down now to the final game of the round, I tipped Port Adelaide here to beat GWS. This game I was also like 50-50 split on because I thought, the Giants, they're actually a pretty decent side in Adelaide. So I thought, the Giants would potentially, have a chance of winning this game. But obviously, as we saw, Port Adelaide, they were just a step above GWS all night. But yeah, I did tip Port Adelaide here to get up over the Giants at Adelaide Oval, so got that tip correct as well. So like I said, ladies and gentlemen, that brings me to a total of 8 out of 9 for round number 22. Which, like I said, I'll definitely take. It's a very, very good score. But there we go, ladies and gentlemen. Those were my round 22 tips from last week. Now let's move on to my round 23 tips for this week. Alrighty, so here we are, ladies and gentlemen, round number 23, the second last round of the season. But it all starts off on the Friday night, as we always do now. It is between Collingwood and Brisbane at 7:50 at Marvel Stadium on the Friday night. I'll start off with Collingwood. Last week I thought they were a little bit off, like in terms of the way they played. They didn't look like, the classic Collingwood that we've been known for seeing. And I thought they really showed a lot of character as well, the Pies last week, especially, considering their injuries. I thought they really stood up when it mattered, the Pies. Whereas Brisbane, on the other hand, I sort of feel like they're getting a little bit complacent and they're not really taking their opportunities, because last week they could have very easily lost to Adelaide last week. Even at home, like Adelaide were very, very close. Like they were this close, Adelaide, to like stealing the victory from Brisbane last week. Although, while I think Brisbane will put up a really good fight, and I think they will really take it up to Collingwood. Yeah, I think Collingwood, I think they will lock up top of the ladder spot here with this win here over the Lions. So I think I am going to be tipping Collingwood here to get the job done here over the Lions, and I think I'm going to be tipping Collingwood here, or to be close, let's say Collingwood win by, let's go 10 points. Let's go Collingwood to win this one in a close game by 10 points. Moving down now to the MCG, we've got Richmond taking on North Melbourne at 1:45 on the Saturday afternoon at the MCG. Now, Richmond, as we all know, aren't playing the best footy right now. In fact, they're far from it, to be honest. They were absolutely deplorable against the Bulldogs a couple of weeks ago. Just completely smashed in all areas. And to be honest, I don't think the St Kilda game was a whole lot better, to be honest. I know the margin wasn't as severe, but seriously, like the skills were literally just as bad. Like it was carbon copy of the Bulldogs game. It was like we literally copy and pasted the Bulldogs' effort against St Kilda, and a similar result happened. Whereas North Melbourne are actually starting to find some form again. Like, I know they haven't been winning, but at least they've been more competitive than the last couple of weeks. So I think this might be Trent Cotchin's last game. I think he will be retiring either at the end of this game or at the end of the Port Adelaide game. I'm not really sure. And this is obviously Jack Rewalt's last game as well. I think I am going to be tipping with my heart here. I'm going to be tipping Richmond here to win this game. I wouldn't rule North Melbourne out, but I just think because Richmond are celebrating, two absolute greats of the footy club, I think Richmond will want to come out here and get the win here for those two boys. I'm going to be tipping Richmond here to win this game by, let's go 26 points. Moving down now to Heritage Bank Stadium, obviously formerly known as Metricon Stadium. We've got Gold Coast taking on Carlton at 2:10 on the Saturday afternoon. Now, the Suns, they're not in a great spot at the moment. The Suns, they've really, really fallen away, as they commonly do, towards the end of the season. Whereas Carlton, it's the complete opposite. Like, they are on an absolute roll. They are definitely on their way to securing a top 8 spot at the end of this season, the Blues. I don't think it's set in stone yet that the Blues will be playing finals this year. I think Carlton, they need one more win, the Blues, to make the finals. I think they will take this game, not being too complacent. I think just because they'll want to play for finals here, and just because they've got a little bit more on the line, the Blues. They've got a top 8 spot to play for still. I think I am going to be tipping Carlton here to get the job done here over the Suns, but I think Gold Coast are a sneaky chance. So if you're one of this 11% of people tipping Gold Coast, I don't blame you. I don't blame you for tipping Gold Coast, because I tell you what, Gold Coast is a very hard opposition to come up against. I'm going to be tipping the Blues by, let's go 11 points to secure themselves a final spot. Moving down now to Giants Stadium, we've got GWS taking on Essendon. Geez, the implications on this match to come, like, this is unbelievable. GWS, look, I think it was a disappointing result against Port Adelaide last week, albeit though Port Adelaide just looked the way stronger side. They almost looked back to their best. But like I said, Port Adelaide, they looked almost back to their best last week. So you can't really blame GWS for that, considering they did all they could. It was just Port Adelaide who were just far too strong. Whereas Essendon, look, not going to lie, they've been a little bit disappointing as of late, to be honest, the Bombers, after having such a good start to the season. Their last month, Essendon has been quite questionable. So I think Essendon really need to step it up in this game, because finals are on the line, to be honest. They've got to be switched on, the Bombers, and they've got to be ready to come out and win this game if they do, want to participate in September this year. Look, personally, I think this game could go either way, but just because it's at Giants Stadium, I think I am going to be tipping GWS to win this game. I know I did back in the Giants a couple of weeks ago and it didn't really pay off, but I think I am going to be tipping GWS here to get the job done here over the Bombers. I think it'll be a really close game, but I think the Giants would be too good here for the Bombers, and I think the Giants will get up here in this one at Giants Stadium by 8 points in a bit of a thriller. Moving down now to Marvel Stadium, and we've got St Kilda taking on Geelong. And again, another huge game this one is. I tell you what, this also has massive implications on the top 8. I'll start off with St Kilda. Look, nothing really needs to be said. They were just too good for Richmond. That's simple as that. They were just far too good for Richmond. Every time Richmond turned the ball over, it looked like the Saints were going to go down the other end and score. I'm actually going to tip St Kilda here in this game. I don't know if many people are predicting this to happen. Well, 26% are predicting this to happen apparently, but I think this could potentially be a little bit of an upset, because a lot of people are sort of tipping Geelong to just roll over and get the dub. I think St Kilda, they're going to do a bit of a Hawthorn here, and I reckon they're going to carry their good form from last week into this week. And I reckon the Saints, they'll be too strong here for the Cats at Marvel Stadium. And I think the Saints, they'll get up here and win this game here in a bit of a tight tussle. But I think St Kilda, they'll be too strong here. And I think the Saints will win this one here by, let's go 14 points. Moving down now to the Adelaide Oval, we've got Adelaide taking on Sydney. I'll start off with Adelaide. Unfortunately for Adelaide, their unlucky streak continues. They were very, very gallant against Brisbane last week. And especially up at the Gabba, that's a very, very good effort. I think that's actually a very underrated performance there from Adelaide. Whereas the Swans, like I said, continuing to find form. And look, to be honest, we shouldn't really be surprised. It's just how Sydney go about their business, to be honest. They often, start seasons a little bit slow and then, build into the season as the weeks go by. But like I said, I say it all the time, Adelaide, almost unstoppable. And I know Sydney are in some really good form, but Adelaide, like, they're just a different breed over there, the Crows. I think I am going to be tipping Adelaide here to get the job done here over the Swans. I think just because it's in Adelaide, I think the Crows will be a little bit too strong here for the Swans. And I think Adelaide, they will get the job done here over the Swans in what is almost a must-win game for their season. I think the Crows will get the job done here over the Swans by 12 points. Moving down now to Marvel Stadium, and we've got the Bulldogs taking on West Coast. It would not surprise me one bit if West Coast win this game, because the Bulldogs, they're one of the most unpredictable teams in the competition, I swear. You know, 1 week, you know, they batter Richmond by about 50 points, and they look like a top 4 side almost. And then the next week, they come out and choke a 20-point lead to Hawthorn. So, like I said, the Bulldogs, they're one of the most unpredictable teams in the comp, whereas West Coast, not really much to be said. They had their asses handed to them. That's just the way it goes in this day and age for West Coast. So I think I am going to be tipping the Bulldogs here in a little bit of a safe tip here. I just think they should be too strong here for West Coast. Not really much needs to be said. The Bulldogs, they're the better side. They should get the job done here over the Eagles. I'm going to be tipping the Bulldogs here to get up over the Eagles at Marvel Stadium by 23 points. Moving down now to the MCG, and we've arguably got one of the games of the round here between Melbourne and Hawthorn at 3:20 on the Sunday afternoon at the MCG. Now, Melbourne, they were quite unlucky last week, to be honest, the D's. Obviously, if that Petrarca, kick had been paid a goal, then I would have got 9 out of 9. But also, the D's, they would have had a very, very good chance of potentially, getting that first home final and potentially finishing top 2. But Hawthorn are playing some really, really good football right now. They've knocked off Collingwood. They've knocked off the Bulldogs, two, quality sides, especially Collingwood, we know. I know Hawthorn have been playing well, but I think the D's, after last week, they got to come out here and make a response. I think Max Gawn is going to be potentially by himself again for this match. I don't think Brodie Grundy will be playing for the D's in this game, which is almost a blessing considering Max Gawn actually plays better without Brodie Grundy, as we've discovered this year. I think I am going to be going the safe option here and tip the D's here to get up over the Hawks at the MCG. Like I said, I hope it's a really good game, but I think the D's, they'll get a pretty good win here to potentially keep their top 2 chances alive. And I think the D's will get the job done here over Hawthorn at the MCG. By 15 points. And the final game of round number 23, we have got Fremantle taking on Port Adelaide at Optus Stadium at 4:40 on the Sunday afternoon. I'll start off with Freo. They're starting to play some good footy again. The Dockers, like I said, they did obviously get a pretty big percentage booster last week against their crosstown rivals, the West Coast Eagles. Whereas Port Adelaide, they got a good win last week. They did what they need to do against the Giants last week. I thought they were just the better side ultimately, Port Adelaide. They really made the Giants pay on a lot of occasions last week. And, I tell you what, this could actually be a really good game as well. Like, the Dockers, like I said, they've been playing better footy as of late. And especially at Optus, they've been playing a lot better footy. They've really been taking it up to sides who, earlier on in the season probably would have battered them by about 50 points. But I think I am going to go the safe option here and tip Port Adelaide here to win this game. Like I said, I could definitely see Freo winning this game. So if you're one of those 18% of people tipping the Dockers, I don't blame you. I think Freo are a sneaky chance to get up here over Port Adelaide here, especially at Optus. But I think Port Adelaide, they'll know what's on the line. They want to try and keep their top 4 spot now if they haven't, already solidified it after last week. And I think Port Adelaide will get a pretty decent win here over the Dockers by 13 points to round off round number 23. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. Those were my round 23 tips for the 2023 AFL season. Let's quickly go back over them. I've tipped Port Adelaide to beat the Dockers. I've tipped Melbourne to beat Hawthorn. I've tipped the Bulldogs to beat West Coast. I've tipped Adelaide to beat Sydney. My upset of the week, I guess you could call it. I've tipped St Kilda to beat Geelong at Marvel Stadium. I've tipped GWS to beat Essendon. I've tipped Carlton to beat Gold Coast, although not sure on that one. I've tipped Richmond against North Melbourne, hopefully at least. And on the Friday night, I have tipped Collingwood to get up over Brisbane at Marvel Stadium by 10 points. So those were my round 23 tips for the 2023 AFL season, ladies and gentlemen. But before we go, as always, we are going to have a quick check on the Fearless Nick comp. But currently leading the Fearless Nick comp after 22 rounds, we've got Marie T once again. Although Marie T, believe it or not, is actually in a freeway tie for first on the ladder. It's Marie T, Ben P, and Shannon all on 133 correct tips. So we've actually got a freeway tie for first on the ladder. So that's actually pretty crazy, I'm not going to lie. But yeah, we've got Marie T in first. We've got Ben P in second. We've got Shannon in third. We've got Max in fourth. We've got Ned in fifth. We've got Cooper L in sixth. We've got Claudia in seventh. I'm still currently in 8th position, although I am starting to close the gap a little bit after I got an 8 this week and Claudia got a 7 and Cooper L got a 6. So I am starting to close the margin between me and these two other guys here at the moment. We've got Hugo in 9th. We've got Darcy T in 10th. We've got Rick H in 11th. We've got Samuel D in 12th. We've got Christian in 13th. And down the bottom, as per usual, we've got Louis, who's currently in 14th. Although, believe it or not, as I look at it right now, Louis is actually one tip behind Christian. Louis got an 8 this week, and Christian got a 2. So if results keep going the way they go, if Louis keeps scoring well, then next week, Louis might actually be off the bottom, so that would actually be pretty exciting, to be honest, considering Louis, he's been on the bottom now for a little bit, so I think it's about time he got off the bottom. But there we go, ladies and gentlemen, those were my round 23 tips for the 2023 AFL season, and yeah, this is my comp ladder after 22 rounds. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. Those were my round 23 AFL tips for the 2023 AFL season. Remember to comment down below your tips for this week down below in the comments. I'd really like to know your fellas' thoughts on this round. Remember, if you haven't already, remember to join my tipping comp. Link will be down below in the description and in the pinned comment. If you guys want a chance to win a shout out at the end of the season, then click the link down below in the description so you don't miss out on that. Remember to leave a like, share, and subscribe if you did go on to enjoy today's video. Like I said, I post these tipping videos pretty much every week. Thank you so much for watching, everyone, and I'll see you in my next video. Cheers!